What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we're diving into Western Express. Now, it seems like this company's got a pretty rough reputation, but we're going to do a deep dive and see what they're all about. In this video, we're going to call a driver recruiter and see what they're offering to new drivers. Also, we're getting online to check out some reviews from people who have gone to work for Western Express to see what their experience has been. And finally, we're going to look right here on YouTube at some videos from drivers who have gone to work for Western Express who decided to share their experience in video. Just before we get going here, I am pushing hard to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you find my content valuable, stick around, hit that subscribe button, and we're diving in right now. Let's go. March!
Western Express Recruiting.
Hi, I was calling to see what you guys do for employment. I'm looking to get into my first truck driving job. I should be graduating school this Friday.
Cool. So we'll have a drive-in route. It's out 10 to 12 days at a time, home 2 to 3. It runs everything east of the Mississippi, and it's drop and hook, no touch freight.
Okay, and being that I'll be graduating school, what does it look like to go out with a trainer?
So we bring you to orientation in Nashville, Tennessee. We provide your hotel, meals, and transportation for that. After the 3-day orientation, you'll go out with your trainer for roughly 2 weeks. It's performance-based training, and it's paid. So you get $500 a week or $71 a day if you don't drive the whole week. Okay, you said 3 days of orientation and then 2 weeks out with a trainer? Yep, and then you get your own truck after that and be home dispatched.
Okay, and then what is the cents per mile while I go solo?
You would start out at 40, and then you get monthly safety bonuses that would equate to 2 to 7 cents a mile additional.
You said 48?
40.
40, okay. And then 2 to 7 cents of bonuses?
Yeah, the safety bonus a month.
What are the factors to be able to get that?
Clean driving, no tickets, accidents, anything like that.
Okay, so if there's no tickets, no accidents, it's automatically the 7. If there's so many, it bumps down, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a good question. They don't. The driver managers are the ones that kind of deal with that. I'll get the exact stipulations. I just know it's 2 to 7 cents. That's a good question. I'll ask. We just recently did away with tuition reimbursement and implemented this instead, so it's kind of a newer thing. But I will get the answer to that for you.
Okay, no problem. And then on average, how many miles are you guys doing a week?
2,500 to 3,000 at least. Right now it's peak season with the holidays coming up, so they're giving a lot. We had an operations meeting last week, and they said some are doing 3,500.
Gotcha. Okay. And then you said there's no tuition reimbursement. You guys just got rid of that. Do you know when the pay package change or anything was?
What do you mean the pay package? With the safety bonuses?
Yeah, the switch up there, whatever made the tuition reimbursement.
It's been a few months now.
Okay.
I think earlier this year.
Okay. Okay, and then last couple of questions. Oh, sorry. As far as the cents per mile, you said it started out at 40 cents per mile, and when would I start moving up in that?
You're 6 months.
So at 6 months, it would go to
42. It goes up 2 cents every 6 months.
Okay, so 2 cents every 6 months. Perfect. Okay, and then a couple more questions here. Do you guys have cameras in your trucks?
We do, inward and outward facing.
Perfect. And then what are your trucks governed at?
67.
67. Okay. And then do you guys
it would let you go to 69, like cruise 67, but it would let you coast to 69.
Okay. All right. And then do you guys offer anything for veterans?
We do not.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. Like I said, I'm calling around to figure out where I want to go to work for, and I'll be in contact.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. All right, so I just got off the phone with the recruiter for Western Express, and the first time I called, I completely got busted.
Recruiting.
Hi, I was calling to see if you guys offer CDL training.
We offer CDL training once you have the license, but you would have to have that first before we can hire you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Western Express Recruiting. This is Kendra.
Hi, Kendra. I was calling to see what it would be like to come to work for you guys. I'll be graduating school next Friday.
Okay, looks like you just spoke with someone named Maggie.
I'm actually a YouTuber, and I do recruiter phone calls to find out what the companies are all about, what they're offering as far as training, if they have CDL training, things like that.
We don't have a CDL school. We just hire once you graduate. We get you on the road training.
Okay, how long is that training?
150 hours
150 hours of over-the-road training. And then what is the pay for that?
with the mentor.
Gotcha.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, they're not gonna fucking talk to me. Can I borrow your phone? But luckily, Miss 219 was able to provide me her phone, which wasn't in the caller ID, and I was still able to get you guys your call. Thanks, Mrs. 219. All right, so Western Express does not offer any sort of CDL training. And surprisingly, with no CDL training and being willing to hire new drivers, they are also not offering any sort of tuition reimbursement. But either way, if you come on board with a new CDL and want to work for Western Express, you'll have to go out with a trainer for at least 2 weeks or about 150 hours worth of training. The pay for that is $500 a week or $71 a day if you do not work a full week. After you get done with that post-CDL training, you'll go solo in your own truck. When you go solo, the giant, enormous starting pay for Western Express, 40 cents per mile. And I thought I had heard the lowest numbers with Warner and May Trucking. On average, they said you'd be making anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 miles per week. Their home time policy is 10 to 12 days out for 2 to 3 days home. Again, they do not offer any tuition reimbursement, and they do have interior and exterior cameras, meaning that there's a camera on the road as well as in cab with the driver. Their trucks are governed at 67 miles per hour, but they said that you can coast at 69 miles an hour, which from the way I gather it, it means on the pedal you can do 67, but if you put it on cruise control, you'll go up to 69. Their pay progression is a whopping 2 cents every 6 months, so you should be able to gain about 4 cents every year of cents per mile. So after about 2.5 years of working for Western Express, you could be making what other companies are starting out at. They did say they operate east of the Mississippi, meaning that you live out west and you want to work for Western Express. They don't go out that way. And based off of this recruiter phone call, this company's already a dud, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at some online reviews to see what other drivers have had to say about working for them. So on the note of that terrible pay, I actually ran across an ad on Facebook for Western Express, so we're going to take a look at that now and see what it has to say, and we're going to run the numbers to compare them both. Okay, it says now hiring new CDL grads. Okay. Paid training for new CDLA holders. Here's the funny part, earn up to $80,000 in your first year. Full benefits just after 30 days. Pets and riders are welcome after training, and apply today. So let's pull up the calculator and see if the numbers that they gave us will actually equate to $80,000 a year. So like we already said, their max they said was 3,000 miles. Multiply that by 40 cents a mile equals $1,200 for the week. And if you multiply that by 52 weeks in the year, you're at $62,400 for the entire year. Nowhere near close to $80,000 that they were advertising. But they can get away with this kind of false advertising because they say up to $80,000 a year, not saying that you will for sure make $80,000 a year. Now remember, we did 52 weeks for the year. That means you would have to stay out the entire year. No home time, no nothing, and maxing out your maximum amount of miles each week in order just to make the $62,400 for the year. Now this is why you got to be really careful when you see a bunch of advertisements stating these high numbers. And watch out for those two words, up to. Now if I had to guess, there is a chance that you can make $80,000 in your first year, but only if you have 5 to 10 years worth of experience, and this is just your first year at that company. Not your first year as a driver, your first year at the company. But they tease at the beginning of this video now hiring new Class A grads and paid training for new CDL holders. And then right after they follow it up with earn up to $80,000 in your first year. So they're tricking you into believing that in your first year as a brand new driver, you can make up to $80,000 a year, and that's just not true. This is the epitome of false advertisement, but they can get away with it because there's kind of sort of loopholes just in the wording that they use. Now me as a veteran driver, I find this extremely frustrating because it's very misleading to drivers, and it falsely encourages drivers to go through CDL school and spend all that money to build a career with the hopes that they're going to make decent money starting out, and when they get on board they find out that they're not making as much as they were hoping for. And this is a big reason why I do these deep dives, is because I know that there's these scams and there's this false advertisement stuff that goes on in the industry. But if you just call the recruiters and get the information firsthand, you can do a little bit of math and figure it out. So not only was that advertisement of $80,000 unrealistic, if we flip over here to their website, they're also saying that you can earn up to $100,000 per year on their website. So they're all over the place. It is showing that they have a pet/rider policy, unlimited referral bonuses up to $1,000 for every driver that you refer, full benefits after 30 days, comprehensive training programs, eligible for drivers of all experience levels. Now, generally, I don't have a problem with referral bonuses, as this is a nice way if you have some friends or family or something you're wanting to go team with, you can get a little bit of extra money for. However, oftentimes people will use this as a way to boost their income, meaning that they're going to say whatever positive things they can say about the company in order to get more people on. Now, it's saying for dry van up to $90,000 per year, 100% no-touch freight, 70% drop and hook, over-the-road, regional, and dedicated lanes. Safety bonus, qualify, and earn an extra 5 cents per mile. Now it's saying flatbed is earn up to $100,000 a year, up to 56 cents per mile solo, and 73 cents per mile on teams. Again, we're looking at these deceptive advertisement terms, up to. That doesn't mean that you're going to make that as soon as you're walking in the door. So be on the lookout for this when you're looking for any company to start with. And over here under this train tab, new to trucking, don't wait and earn more. Again, we're at $80,000 a year for this one. Up to 48 cents per mile starting out, plus raises up to 53 cents per mile in 12 months. Now, according to the recruiter, they said their pay progression was 2 cents every 6 months, meaning that you'd be up to 42 cents after 6 months and then 44 cents after a year. So again, they're getting away with some deceptive advertisement with those two key words, up to. Hands-on learning with our experienced trainers. Performance training puts you in your own truck in 1 to 6 weeks. $1,000 referral bonus for that too. So as you can see, they're kind of all over the place as far as how much that you're going to make per year. And this is why it's really important to push for what is that cents per mile and what is the average miles per week. Because 9 times out of 10, when you're seeing these up to numbers, they're going to be incorrect, and a little bit of math will solve the issue and figure out how much you will actually make. But right off the bat, not only are they not making very much money, they're using deceptive advertisement. I'm not a big fan starting out, but let's carry on to some reviews and see what other drivers have had to say about working for them. And right out the gate, we got 2.9 stars over here on Indeed, based off of 3,146 reviews. And it's pretty rare to come across a company that has less than 3 stars overall. Normally what we see is we see high 5 and 4 star reviews, a couple in the 3s and 2 range, and then a little bit more than the 3s and 2s in the 1 stars. But it's pretty rare to see with the 1 stars surpassing the 5, 4, and 3 stars. All right, so I have this sorted to the newest reviews, but this first one is actually from 2024, but the reason why I got bumped up is because it was responded to by Western Express. So because that's a little bit old, we're gonna go ahead and bypass that one just to see some more up-to-date information. And coming down here, we're at a 2 star starting from October 14th of 2025, and this was a trainer out of Nashville, Tennessee. It says, good company to start with, plenty of opportunities to get you experience. I'm glad they gave me a chance. Okay, so not a bad review. However, there's still 2 stars here, so I'm not sure what's going on. We got a 1 star here from October 12th, 2025. A CDL driver out of Nashville, Tennessee. Don't do it. It says the pay is extremely low and driving management are terrible. They never answer your calls or text, and they don't care about your well-being. Home time every 2 months. It says the pros are the experience and the cons is no home time, pay is very low, and no miles. This next one's a 1 star Class A driver out of Nashville, October 8th, 2025, and it just says the worst trucking company. Don't apply to that company unless is your only chance. Management is awful. The pay is the worst. Don't care about your home time. Another 1-star here, terrible experience. This one's from October 6th. Worked at Western Express. Orientation was a mess, super unorganized. Dispatch was terrible and never communicated right. Pay was low and miles were inconsistent. Trucks were okay, but overall not worth it unless you just need experience to move on. Okay, so we got quite a bit out of Nashville. This next one though is coming from Bloomington, California. It's a 2-star review from October 5th of this year. It says dispatch is horrible. Dispatch will have you waiting on loads or stuck overnight. Pay is not consistent and the company is only good for people with horrible records that need work. Okay, so I mean that could be a positive thing despite all this stuff. If you have a little bit of a criminal past or a history with driving records and stuff, they may be willing to give you a chance where other companies won't. And I've actually seen some other stuff where they do offer some second chance stuff for folks that fall into that category. Okay, this 2-star October 4th out of Nashville. Get your experience and get out. Don't come here unless you have absolutely no other choice. There's a reason it's called Welfare Express. I've never heard that before. That's pretty funny. All right, so this next one's a 3-star stepping stone. Western is a stepping stone and a second chance company for those who may have had a hiccup in their career or need experience. Okay, so it definitely sounds like it's a company that you can go to that is willing to give people a chance, even if other companies are not willing to do that. Here's another one out of Bloomington, California. Stepping stone company driver, same thing, 2 stars. Not a bad place to work for, just need to increase the driver pay and get a bigger drop yard. Also, they need to stay consistent with miles. Overall, not a bad place to work for, just need to get organized and have consistent loads. So like I've talked about before in other reviews and deep dives that I've done, if we're seeing some stuff that keeps on being a reoccurring theme, these are the areas that you need to focus on and pay attention to. And so far, I've seen a bunch about inconsistent miles and issues with getting home time. Okay, so this one's got me a little bit more concerned. This one's a 3-star from September of this year, a Class A driver out of Nashville, Tennessee. They give you a chance if no one else does. Wouldn't recommend if you don't have a record or incident to be your starter company. It's kind of a use situation. About $750 some good weeks of $900 to $1,000. They'll try to force you into training even if you have little experience. All in all, if you keep your head down and do your job, it shouldn't be an issue. Okay, so this is a giant red flag for me, being that it says they try to force you into training even if you have little experience. In my opinion, drivers with less than a year of experience should not be training anybody. And this is because I believe it takes at least a year to get your nose wet in the industry. It takes at least a year to come across enough challenging situations on your day-to-day job to be able to handle the pressure of those situations and understand what you need to do to get into them or get out of them. So a company that's pushing you to become a trainer, not only with pay, but actual verbal communication that they're encouraging you to become a trainer, is a giant red flag for me on any company. So based off of these reviews, we could summarize that they have some issues with getting appropriate miles for the week. They also have some issues with getting drivers home when they request to be home. And it seems like their training is not going to be the best that it can be, especially if they're putting drivers in with less than adequate experience driving. But the big highlight for Western Express is if nobody will give you an opportunity and you're really struggling to find a job, it seems like Western Express will be the place to go for you. For individuals with some criminal past or a little bit of bad driving history, Western Express could be a great opportunity to put your career back on track and really give you a second chance of becoming successful overall. But just understand, if you are in that situation and you're trying to make it out of the struggle, there's always some sort of sacrifice that comes with that. And it looks like with Western Express, the sacrifice is pay and home time. All right, so we're going to take a look at a video right here on YouTube of a driver sharing his experience working for Western Express. And this video is coming from Scar, S-C-A-R-R. I'll leave a link for the full video in the description below.
The first thing is to thank Western Express for hiring me, because my actions caused me to end up at Western Express. I was at Schneider. I got fired from Schneider because I racked up too many critical events, and they deemed me a safety hazard. So I ended up at Western Express, and other mega carriers when they hired me, like Swift, Prime, they said I needed some experience. So Western Express hired me. All
All right, so it definitely sounds like Western Express is a second chance company, meaning that they're going to give you an opportunity even if you've had some stuff go on in your past, whether that be personal car driving accidents or any sort of criminal history. They're going to give you a second shot, which depending on your perspective could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. Me personally, I believe if you have a couple of issues, especially while you're training, it's not really that big of a deal. You're still learning and you're bound to make mistakes. Nobody can do it perfect the very first go. So giving somebody a few chances, especially while they're learning, I think that's pretty important. But I could definitely see the other side of the story too. If somebody's having a bunch of accidents or a bunch of safety issues, down the line that could lead to a major tragedy out on the road, so you might not want to hang on to them.
Let's talk about home time. Western Express did not do a good job getting me home. I'm just gonna say it like that. Like, I probably got home on time maybe 40% of the times. Other than that, I had to stay an extra week, 2-3 weeks out before I actually got home from the time I submitted my request. So I give Western Express 4 out of 10 when it comes to getting me home. But from my experience, from what I heard, Western Express did do a good job of getting other people home on time. So I think that's just a case-by-case scenario, depending on who your driver manager is.
Yeah, that's definitely a big red flag for me, especially if you have children's birthdays coming up, Christmas, different events that are going on in your personal life. If you give a company ample notice that you need to take some home time, they should be doing everything they can to get you home on time. Especially if you've already taken a good bit of time out on the road, it's really important that companies also respect your personal time too. That being said, I definitely recommend for new drivers to spend a month or two out on the road at a time before taking home time. Because as a general rule, these starter companies are not paying very well, and if you're taking home time every 2 weeks, you're not going to make any money out here, and then you're going to be upset at trucking when realistically some of your decisions definitely impact how much you're going to make.
One of my problems with Western Express was I had a lot of downtime. Now, that can be a pro and a con, because if I'm out on the road OTR, I'm not out here just to sit. But I think I began to realize Western Express, well, not even just Western Express, mega carriers in general who do drive-in, sometimes you're going to sit. There's not going to be no loads for you because everybody does drive-in. There are a whole bunch of drive-in drivers out here. So some days there's not going to be no loads for you because everybody's taking the loads already. So if you work for Western Express, you're going to be sitting here and there.
Yeah, I definitely think that's an issue across a lot of major carriers, and the main reason is because they're onboarding a bunch of new drivers. Oftentimes they don't have enough customer base to service all of the new drivers that they're bringing on board. So the dispatchers will do their best to parse out the loads that they have available to give out to drivers amongst a bunch of different drivers, and the result of that is some drivers are going to have to sit over the weekend or sit for a couple of days here and there. Now overall, this does impact your mileage as far as your weekly pay, and it's definitely one of the bigger reasons why a lot of people leave major carriers.
My dispatcher was cool. Only thing I didn't like about him, he would sometimes call me and tell me I can start driving. Bro, I'm a truck driver. I know when I can start driving. And I haven't even been late to none of my loads. So the fact that he would call me and tell me I can start driving, I thought was nuts. But also, he would call me and then sometimes say like, oh yeah, you need anything, bro, just send it through the tablet. No, if you call me, tell me I can drive early in the morning, I'm gonna call you. So don't get frustrated when I call you, like especially if you're calling me, just tell me I can drive. Like I don't know that already. But other than that, he was cool. I didn't have no problems with him. Sometimes we barely talked.
Yeah, that micromanaging stuff, it's super annoying. You get it from the brokers, you get it from dispatchers, but it takes some time for dispatchers to get to know you as a driver, as well as you as a driver get to know the dispatchers. And after a month or so, you guys figure out how each other works. And once you know how each other operate, you're able to make adjustments or back down the supervision. So new drivers, make a name for yourself that you're going to get up on time, you're going to show up to your loads and not be late. This way, the dispatchers don't have to be chasing you down all the time and they'll leave you alone.
He was a cool driver manager. I really had no problems out of him. He actually had like the star fleet, or Western got something where like if a fleet's doing good, they like call it something. But he's also trying to get me to be a trainer, but I didn't want nobody else in the truck.
So I'm guessing the dispatchers are encouraging drivers to become trainers?
My pay was very low. I think I came in Western Express getting paid about 40 cents. Now granted, I only had like 6 months of experience. And I was 20, I want to say I was either 21 or 22 at the time. I'm 23 now. I was getting paid about 40 cents, and I believe I worked my way up to like 44 cents or 46 cents before I left. I'm honestly not sure. But on average, my checks are around $500 to $700, and I only seen $1,000 check at Western Express my time being there.
Wow.
I think I was there for like 6 or 7 months. I wasn't there for long. But the pay, I guess the pay for a second chance company was decent, but I didn't get paid much, which I wasn't really expecting to get paid much going in, because I know I messed up, and the reason why I was there in the beginning was because of my actions and my choices. However, like I said, my pay averaged from $500 to $700, which was good enough for me at the time, because I was, like I said, I was like 22, no kids, no nothing. But I knew I wasn't there for the pay. I was there for the experience, in which I got my experience so I can get out of there. So like I said, that's why I think Western Express for that. And that, for me personally, I didn't get paid much at Western Express. And other people I know, they also did not get paid much at Western Express.
Yeah, that's the same amount that they said in the recruiter phone call, and $500 to $700 a week really isn't that much. But like this gentleman said, if this is a second chance company for you, you kind of got to take what you can get, just so you can get a little bit of experience and then move on to something better.
Western Express is one of those companies you go to if you really have to, if you need a second chance or you need to get your experience. All right, and that. Oh, one thing I would say, the driver trainers at Western Express do make money. Don't get that confused. The driver trainers do make money. They're not, those guys make money. That is true. That 130K, or how they make 6 figures, them guys actually do make that money, because they make their miles, your miles. I think they also get paid for like monthly for how long you stay with the company. But those guys get paid, and like they're basically team driving too when those guys are when you're getting trained. Like there wasn't really too much training going on, at least with my trainer, because I already had experience. So we basically was team driving. So he was getting paid my miles and his miles. You know what I'm saying? I was running about 500 miles per day, because we was getting those long distance loads. So if you do end up at Western Express, try to become a driver trainer, and you will make bread.
Well, to me, that's a little bit of an issue that they're pushing so hard for drivers to become driver trainers. And this gentleman said he had only had 6 months of experience, and they were encouraging him to become a driver trainer. Not only that, but they incentivize driver trainers based off of pay, waving the little carrot in front of drivers' faces saying, hey, come over here and do this and you'll make a bunch more money. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're training somebody, I do believe you should make a little bit more money, but I also think a driver should have over a year of experience before they even think about training anybody else. Now, I will say at about a year, you pretty much got it figured out. You understand what's going on. But even drivers with a year of experience can make mistakes. So just because you've reached a certain level of experience, it doesn't mean that you're invincible and that you can do everything. You still need to stay vigilant as a driver. An old driver once told me, the day you stop learning is the day you should hang up the keys. But overall, it sounds like this guy knew what he was getting into when he was going to work for Western Express. It was a second chance company, and he was using them for the experience so he could move on to something better. Alright, so this next one is from the YouTube channel James Martin. Now, this is definitely not the most professional video, but it's only been posted 3 months ago, so I feel like that's pretty relevant to what's going on with Western Express currently. And if you want to check out the video for yourself, I'll leave a link to that down below.
Honest review of Welfare Express, otherwise known as Western Express. Okay, so honest review. Welfare Express was combative and disrespectful every single time I had any communication with them, starting with the recruiter and ending with my driver manager. I never had a positive communication with them, whether that was in text, email, over the phone, or in person. They were always combative and disrespectful, which is interesting because, you know, they're known as Welfare Express because honestly, my paychecks were $400 a week. $400 a week. Maybe it has something to do with them lying about the cents per mile. The recruiter said, okay, we will hire you. And by the way, the hiring process took about 6 months. 6 months.
Wow.
6 months, because they were making me jump through hoop after hoop after hoop after hoop. I've been with other companies and it was never this bad. 6 months it took for me to get hired with them. And then finally they said, we'll hire you at 45 cents a mile. And come to find out, they hired me at 40 cents a mile. And whatever, $400 paychecks. The driver manager, I asked for a day off after 7 weeks on the road without going home. I asked for 1 day off, and his reply to me was, why do you need a day off? Don't you get rest every night?
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. A company has to respect your personal time too. I understand as truckers, we got to spend some time out on the road and we don't really get much of a work-life balance. However, when you do request to be home, companies need to honor that. It's so disrespectful. And also to find out that it took 6 months for him to get hired on from the time he submitted his application, that's a very big waiting period, especially for somebody who already has some experience.
And by the way, he took an entire week off a day after he sent me that message. This is Welfare Express. They have no respect for anyone. They lowball you, they disrespect you, they treat you like garbage every day, that's the culture of the company. Everyone at the company treats the employees like garbage, every one of them. From the recruiter up to the CEO, that is the culture of the company, and it's all for $400 a week. You know, you could make that kind of money working at Taco Bell, and at least at Taco Bell you get to go home at the end of the night and take a shower and have dinner. So if you really, really, really need a job really bad, I guess you could go there. They'll hire a frog. They don't care who works for them. They have so much turnover because they are Welfare Express and because they are shit. They are shit.
Well, that about sums it up for him. Yeah, you could definitely tell he was very upset and wasn't happy with his experience at Western Express. And overwhelmingly, this seems to be the case with the reviews, these drivers that have told their experience on YouTube, and the fact that they've acquired a stereotypical name of Welfare Express. That just goes to show that this has been the case for the company for a very long time. And while I think you guys know where this is going, it's time for the question, okay or no way, would iTrucker219 go to work for Western Express? And the answer to that is a big fat no way. Absolutely not. It's clear from the recruiter phone call that their pay is absolutely terrible at just 40 cents per mile, on average making 2,500 to 3,000 miles a week. At that 2,500 mark, which is doable with a major carrier, you'd only be making $1,000 before taxes. But realistically, from a major carrier, getting 2,500 miles is really hard to do. As we've seen from the reviews and the drivers speaking about working for Western Express, they're not getting very many miles at all. Now, while the recruiter did say that the home time policy is 10 to 12 days out for 2 to 3 days home, based off of everything, it doesn't seem like they're apt to get people home on time when they're supposed to be home. So if you make a request to get home for your kid's birthday party, there's a high chance that you could miss that just because the dispatchers aren't working to get you home when you've requested to have your home time. The training at Western Express is really quick, and it seems like they're really hard about pushing drivers with less than adequate experience to become a trainer. Therefore, in my opinion, their training is not quality training. On top of that, they don't offer any training to get a CDL, nor do they offer any sort of tuition reimbursement once you already have your CDL and go over to work for them. And I'm having a very difficult time finding any sort of highlights about Western Express to speak about. And the only thing that comes to mind is the fact that they are a second chance company. So if you're having a hard time getting on with any of the major carriers because of a checkered criminal past or a rough driving history, and you're really trying hard just to get into the trucking industry and get started, then this may be the company for you. But I will let you know, if you go to Western Express, this is not going to be a great experience for you. And it definitely stands the chance to turn you off from trucking altogether. Like I said, it's a no way for me, but I want to hear from you guys. What was your experience like working for Western Express? Did they give you an opportunity when nobody else would? Leave it down in the comments below. And real quick before I get out of here, this is going to be the last week for the Trucker Starter Pack giveaway. So if you want to learn how to enter that, I'll leave a link for that video down below as well. But that's going to be it for this one. I've done a deep dive on 15 companies prior to this one, so if you want to check out those videos, click the playlist right here. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All right, bye.